Hi everyone! Now, before I get started on this, I just want to give a little shout out to my good friend Hayden, who was actually the author of this story that I'm narrating for you all. He is a very talented author and he's still trying to make his name out there, so I've provided links in the description below that lead to all of his works that he has published right now, so if you would like, go ahead and show him some love. And I'm very honored to have this short story of his be the first one of hopefully many that I will narrate for him. Hope you all enjoy. Sleep by Hayden Robinson. My eyes strain to stay open as I sit in my therapist's office. It's a blessed relief that my vision is blurrier than usual, because if I see every detail of even the smudged glass table between me and Dr. Hayter, my heart will beat fast and I will panic. It happened before many times. It even happened when I was on the bus back from work. There is a glass birdcage in the center of the table. It has a gold shimmer to it, possibly due to the light coming in from the window. I imagine myself shrinking down, crawling into it, and falling down into a deep, careless sleep. All the while, I would see grins. Horrible grins. Dr. Hayter's gaze burns into me. She has her legs crossed. The creases of her black suit trousers pop out like swollen veins. She smiles, but I don't trust it. It looks too jagged and too fake, like that of a plastic doll. "This isn't our usual session," Dr. Hayter says. "Is something wrong?" I shake my head and bite my bottom lip and say, "I just needed to see you. I haven't slept all night. I've been thinking about tonight." "Tonight?" "Yeah. Tonight is when it becomes worse." Dr. Hayter nods. She doesn't need to ask what I'm talking about. The worst of it happens on this day, the third Saturday of every month. It is the same nightmare every time, but it is the worst of them all. It is the night when my dreams and my night terrors get out of hand. "We have spoken about this before, haven't we?" Dr. Hayter asks. She lays a notepad on top of her knee, her pen ready like a chisel for etching into the pages. "Yeah," I reply. "Once or twice." "And you've never figured out why it is that this happens?" I frown. "Well, it's your job, isn't it?" "That's not what I meant." I nod, breathe in deeply, and let out a long sigh. "No, I don't know why it happens like that. My teeth press my tongue down to prevent me from adding, but I have a pretty good idea." Dr. Hayter scribbles down something. Probably my patient needs a good nap, and then taps her pen against the paper. This is something she normally does when she's searching for the right thing to say. I wish she wouldn't do that, because frankly, nothing she says will stop the night terrors from happening. At least they haven't so far. Finally, she says, "You know, in my research, night terrors aren't always caused by trauma or grief or anything like that, but they sometimes can be. Over the last month, I have sensed that your night terrors have been worse than normal." She unwraps her legs and leans forward in her chair. "Is there anything recently that you think may have spiked these recent terrors?" For a moment, I think about this. My head hurts from the effort, and with this, my eyes hurt more too, and then the pain runs down my body. I want nothing more than to sleep. Just an hour or two of blissful rest. But I can't be allowed to do that, especially not over the last month after it happened. "My cat Boots died," I murmur. "Excuse me?" "My cat Boots died," I repeat, a little louder and more irritated. "Oh." Dr. Hayter leans back in her chair, giving her best sorrowful look. "I'm sorry to hear that. When did it happen?" I gulp and look at my hands, which were clasped together. "Well, it happened the day after my last big night terror." I shake my head. I could hear him meowing like mad, like he was crying for help, but I couldn't move. I finish inside my head. Dr. Hayden smiles kindly. You shouldn't feel guilty for your pet's passing. It is clear that it had a huge effect on you. My hands clasp tighter together. The tips of my fingers appear to be threatening to dig into the skin on the back of my hands. It reminds me of a time when I laid in bed. It felt like my whole body had turned into a pile of dirt, and I was clawing at myself all night, trying to piece myself back together, trying to hold everything in. It was a sensation that was somehow both heavy and light, like my body was present, but not present at the same time. If I may say so, Dr. Hayden tells me, your lack of sleep may cause these terrors too. I'm afraid to go to sleep. I understand that, but preventing yourself from sleeping is not the way to go about it. I almost want to tell her to shut up and leave me alone. I almost want to take the birdcage ornament in the middle of the table and fling it at her. But I don't want to. Not because it will hurt her, but because she will be angry at me. So I allow her to lecture me even more. Stress and tiredness, she explains, can be benefactors into this. What you need to do is go home, relax, have a cup of tea and a good meal, and just try to get some sleep. And remember one important thing. My brow lowers. Which is? That these terrors, whatever they may be in the moment, cannot hurt you. All I can do is nod. All I can think to say, but I don't say, is that Dr. Hayden seriously doesn't get it. I just let her smile that horrible smile while I think these words. It's not that they can or can't hurt me. It's deeper than that. Much deeper. My head lowers, and my eyes almost close entirely. Then my body shakes me awake with a jolt. I gasp and look around. The bus I'm riding on is empty, except for one old lady with curly white hair sitting farthest to the front. As for me, I'm sitting all the way in the back. I shiver from the cold seeping in from outside. The overhead lights beam across the seats and the floor. The old woman turns her head to me. She watches intently, her brow lowered and her lips tight and wrinkly as a prune. She thinks I'm a weirdo. I just know it. To take my gaze away from her, I look outside the window. The stores and apartment buildings brush past the bus. We aren't moving too fast, so I'm able to check out some of them. The tower office building made of glass windows reflect the bright blue sky above it. The bus comes to a stop sign. I look at the local coffee shop next to us. Its tables are decorated with raindrops, causing the tops to glitter under the sunlight. A couple standing outside the place, chatting away with a cup in each hand and their spare hand placed firmly in the other's, like they're entangled that way. The image reminds me of a night from a year ago. I was out clubbing, more so to keep myself awake. I met this woman there. I forgot what her name is now. She was dancing outside the club, her black hair brushing over her shoulders as she turned her head side to side. When she saw me staring, she smirked, came over and asked me if I liked what I saw. I thought she was talking about her dancing, so I said yes. She giggled and told me her friends ditched her, so she was having fun alone for the night. We spoke more, and the more we talked, the more her hand slid up my arm. That hand reached my neck, curled around it, and before I could say no, she pulled me close and pressed her lips on mine. I felt like I was being savored in her mouth, which smelled and tasted like sweet cider. I wanted to pull away, but I also wanted and needed to feel her near me. I somehow felt safe in her embrace, and I didn't know why. As the bus drives away from the coffee shop, I watch the couple as they zoom away from us. I remember the black-haired woman taking me back to her place. We both drank more, and she wanted someone to take her home, so I did. I intended to only stay a few minutes, but somehow I managed to stay there much, much longer. At one point, as we sat on her bed, we started talking about dark secrets. Eventually, She asked me about any secrets I had. I wanted to be sure she knew what she was in for should anything happen between us. So I told her about my night terrors, and how I was afraid to sleep because of them. She almost laughed at this, although she tried to hold it back. I ignored it and shrugged, admitting that it's a secret for a reason. She said she liked a little terror in her life, and as her hand reached under my shirt and slid down my pants, she whispered she could make the terrors go away for me. I can still feel her hand caressing me and making me hard as she kissed me again. I can also feel the clothes she ripped from me and her body's warmth enveloping my own as we brought our one-night stand full circle. I should have known better than to fall asleep next to her. Taking my phone out of my pocket, I unlocked it and played some Fruit Ninja 2 to try to distract myself. But it doesn't work. All I can think about was when I woke up in the woman's bed, echoes of screams planted in my head. I heard whispers from the side of me. I turned over and saw the woman sitting away from the bed in the corner. Her eyes were stained with black tears, and I saw a trickle of red sitting on her bottom lip, ready to fall to the floor. She stared at me, and I could tell that she was afraid. When I brought her a glass of water, she told me I was screaming and thrashing in my sleep. She tried to calm me down, but I kept wailing and throwing myself around. When my fist flew at the woman's face, causing her to fall to the floor and land on her jaw, she bit down hard on her tongue, causing it to bleed. When she was finished, I simply said, "It's part of my night terrors. I'm sorry." With that, I got up and left the room. I had expected her to call the police and tell her friends or something, but I haven't heard from her or seen her since that night. It was that night that finally caused me to go to therapy for my condition. The bus stops on my street. I get off and walk toward my apartment. The image of the young, dark-haired woman's terror-filled face stays in my mind like a stain that won't wash away. I'm hoping she's okay, and I hope she understood I never meant to hurt her. Not that it makes a difference, but I have hope all the same. I pull my door key from my pocket, put it in the lock, and turn it. The door opens easily, and I step inside. The apartment's only source of light is from the window, which is covered by blinders that have been broken for a week now. In the far corner, a growing pile of dirty dishes sits in the left side of the sink. I had meant to clean them this morning, but the anxiety about tonight got the better of me. The small television and the game console sitting on the desk, along with the closed laptop, gather dust from being untouched for 2 weeks. Peering around the room, I take it all in, and with that, I consider about Dr. Hayter's words. These terrors, whatever they may be in the moment, cannot hurt you. I don't think she fully understands what I'm going through. It isn't just a case of getting hurt, but something deeper and far more painful than that. I can't just shut them out like that. Or maybe I could. I slumped down at my desk chair and put a finger on my chin, thinking about this. What if I'm making a mountain out of a molehill? These were just dreams after all, just stuff inside my head. I have been going to therapy for over a year now, and something, anything, must have changed about me in that time. If I just lay down and sleep tonight, they may not come. If I just relax and let my body be at peace, my sleep may just come peacefully too. The terrors won't hurt me. They can't hurt me. Not if I try hard enough. My stomach twists. I gasp and clench it. It is what happens when fear is here to stay. I wait till it passes to get up and make a cup of tea. Trying to relax is much harder than I thought. I dry myself off after a hot shower and throw my pajamas on. Then I make a chocolate spread sandwich and have a third cup of tea. I had planned to sit down on the couch, but I just stand in the middle of the kitchen, sipping my cup. My brain keeps thinking and thinking, worrying and worrying. I'm lucky to still be in this apartment. My dad had been paying for my rent since I had lost my job 2 months ago. But recently, he called to tell me that money had become tight. He too was let go from his job, and he was barely making it by on whatever money he had, let alone paying for my place. So now I have to search for another job to lose. And I know I will lose the next one in the same manner. I had so many sleepless nights that all I wanted to do was just stay in bed. With that, I missed work for 5 days in a row. I didn't even flinch when they fired me. I was too tired to give a damn. I still have to try, though. I will have to make sure I get a good night's sleep every night, starting tonight. As I sip my tea, I turn the corner. I almost drop my cup in shock when my eyes fall on something in the far corner of the kitchen. Something taller than me, I can tell. I can't see its face, or its body, except for an outline. And a smile. A wide, painfully long smile that shows rows of scattered teeth. Above this smile were a pair of wide eyes. They have no color whatsoever. They were simply two unblinking white balls with black dots painted in the middle. They looked directly at me. I freeze in place, the steam from my cup rising between me and whatever this thing was. Something about it is familiar, like we had met before in a time I can't remember. I know that what I'm looking at is not a real living creature, but that only makes it worse. Not because I can't tell the difference between reality and hallucinations. It is that I can't explain these hallucinations to anyone in a way that mattered. No matter how much I try to recount every little detail to someone about these experiences, nothing can relieve the dread that crawls through me when I see those pure white eyes and that freakish grin. I turn my head to see where the noise is coming from. Nothing. Nowhere. When I turn back, the figure had vanished. Leaning forward, I lay my head in my hands, trying not to cry. Now I'm not sure what is real. Not that thing, or whether that thump came from anywhere but in my own brain. Why is it that I am the one of the very few adults who suffer from this? Night terrors are usually seen in children. That would be the worst when you're a little kid, and you constantly wake up from sleep, feeling like a frightened ball of sweat and nerves. When you're a kid, your mind wanders through happiness most of the time, oblivious to the horrible world around you. But when your young mind fills with the sort of darkness that will make you wake up from dreams and then go on to see and hear things that frighten you, it's like living in a nightmare. I know because it happens so much. The thing is, though, that I'm an adult. One of the few whom it happens to. I hate having to live like this. What's worse is that I know why. Wiping my eyes, I stand up and gulp down the rest of my tea. I walk to my bedroom and pull back the blanket. I'm about to lie down when I hear something. It's a voice. A woman's voice. One that is harsh and accusing. It says, "Little lying brat." I don't bother looking around. There is no one there. It's all in my head. If I ignore it, it will go away. I'm sure it will. It has to go away somehow. Lying down in bed, I don't pull the blanket over me. I rest my head on my pillow, staring at the blank wall and focusing on getting to sleep. My eyes shut for the briefest of moments, but I zap myself awake again. It's like my mind wants me to shut down and my body wants to stop me from doing so. I'm so tired and so drowsy. And yet I'm scared. I'm scared of what lies inside my cage. A golden glass bird cage with newspaper clippings at the bottom. A swing bar hangs from the top. I'm standing at the bottom, completely naked. I gasp, but I make no effort to hide my privates. I want to, but something else is stopping me from doing so. With no control of myself, I run forward to the bars. Outside of the cage is a room I know well. It is an enormous living room with no furniture aside from a long burgundy carpet that runs across the floor. The carpet moves and curls, looking like a sea of dark blood. The waves from this carpet hit the white walls, leaving arms stretching to the cracks and holes covering it. Taking a closer look at the wall, I make out something above it. The cracks pulse as if they were white veins. They sliver along the wall, reaching the center where strange shapes circle around it. The shapes move wildly, but stay still as if time was stopping and starting randomly. It hits me that these shapes resemble human faces. In fact, I see now that they are human faces. Their mouths open and close and stretch out, and I imagine that they all want to make sounds but have no power to do so. Their eyes are what make me squirm and grip the bars. They have no color to them whatsoever. They are just marbles of gray with black pupils. They roll and squirm around a few times before they stare straight forward. It takes me a moment to realize the eyes are looking directly at me. As I back away from the bars, I notice how familiar they all look. They seem to be molded after someone I know very well, but I can't place it. Each face has a different expression on it. Happy, surprised, sad, angry, depressed, all sorts. Their jaws stretch out once again as their eyes burrow into my miniature form. It hits me that I know who they look like. Me. They're all my faces. Faces I would make in the mirror, or faces that I would imagine myself making, all manifested into this wall. I stumble on the edge of the flat newspaper. Falling on my back, I watch the faces pull into the very center of the wall. They open their mouths wide in silent screams, and they try to pull away. But each face eventually morphs into this one enormous head that leans out further and further. It stretches the wall like it was made of rubber. Finally, the faces melt away. The head, with a newly formed body, releases from the wall. I scream. Mother grins with shattered teeth down at me. She stomps across the room. I feel each echo of each step, along with each vibration, causing me to tremble from the earthquakes. I want to run and jump out of this cage, but my body doesn't want to move. No matter how much red-hot danger I sense, how much ice-cold fear I feel, my body won't obey me. I'm trapped in this hell and I have to experience it. Mother reaches the cage. Her brown hair is tied in a bun. She is young, an age I knew her at when I was little. Her black eyes look over the cage. A gigantic hand reaches for the door and pulls it open. Another hand reaches inside, coming right for me. I scream again, but it becomes muffled by warm skin and muscles. They pulse around me. I feel the blood under her fingers threaten to crush me. Mother cackles, her eyes wide as globes. Wrinkles stretch across her forehead, down her cheeks and onto her lips. She cackles more and more, and she does this until she screams. I'm forced to hear her, and I squirm. When I do, her hand presses down my body. I can feel myself being crushed, but there's no pain. My body has the sensation of disappearing, of disintegrating. I look down. My skin softens all over, blowing down to the floor, and my muscles are not real muscles at all, but gray and still, as if I'm just a statue or a pocket-sized figure. With one last push, Mother's hand slams down into my tiny body. My sight disoriented. My vision shatters into different directions like a broken mirror or the eyes of a spider. I see my whole self falling down from my mother's palm. I can see her same palm slapping and hitting my cheek over and over until I cry. I see Mother screaming in my face as I blubber. I even catch a glimpse of Mother offering to let me join her in bed with her latest lover. I reach the ground, expecting to splat into it. But instead of any force, I simply attach via my feet. I find that now I'm back in my normal form and I'm fully grown now. Beneath me, instead of a burgundy carpet, I'm standing on soft, white sand. Standing up, I find myself and Mother standing on what looks like a playground covered in white sand. A swing set and slide are piled next to each other in an unfinished mess at the far left of the place. At the opposite faraway side, children with faces like the ones from the wall run around a flagpole. I hear them shouting with glee. Part of me wants to go with them, but Mother's presence stops me. Behind her, a black cloud grows and swims through the air. It twists into a long rope, and the rope bulges into a figure. The figure has a man's face. It wears glasses and has a mustache, which looks unfit for the face's miserable expression. While staring at me, Mother reaches a hand out to the cloud man and brushes its cheek. Then the face changes to one of a man with a mole on his cheek and an out-mouthed grin. Her hand runs down the body, and the face changes again to a woman's face with bags under its eyes and a mischievous look. Mother reaches down the cloud's legs, all the while staring at me with her wide, vicious grin. But then she swipes the cloud away. It disappears into nothing. She stands up and walks toward me. I smell something familiar on her breath. Whiskey? Cider? Lager? Or all of them. Her fingers curl into claws, and she swipes the side of my head. Her nails dig into the side, and I whimper in pain. I let out an agonized, "Mother." Her deep, hoarse voice says, "You are all I want. No one can compete." No.
Lying little brat. You know you love your mother. You are Mother's favorite.
I want to pull away, but I can't. I watch as she grips the side of my head with her other claw. Her brown hair discolors into gray and white, and she grows more wrinkles all over her face. The smell from her mouth worsens. At her side, I see several people watching the scene. Dr. Hayden, the couple from the coffee shop, the old woman on the bus, and even the young woman I hurt. I look at them, and I wonder if it was Mother who made me distrust them, hurt them, despise them. Mother who keeps me from sleeping. Mother who takes me to her mouth and presses me there. I squirm and I scream, but she holds me, bends me, and clutches me in place. She savors me, loving me as only a loving mother could. I feel safe and afraid at the same time. I can't be without her, but I'm so glad that she died 2 years ago. She pushes me away. Her face scrunches with anger. Her face twists in braids of seaweed and becomes a sickening green. She wails something that sounds like someone yelling underwater. Her claws push me over the edge. I fall through the air. Halfway down, I can see my cat Boots flying downward with me. He stares at me and blinks twice. I feel my lips curl into a grin at him. For some reason, Boots was, and still is, my closest companion. A cat who leapt up to me when he wanted food, who jumped on me for attention, and who would wake me up in the morning, laying on me for no reason other than just that he felt like being there. I watch him fly and blink twice again. I roll over, wishing he was here again, purring on my chest. When he swims through the air to me, I desperately want him. My back slams to the ground, and I wake up, frozen in my bed. I still feel myself weightless from falling. I can also feel my skin tight from being so small in a cage. My heart is a rolling rock in my chest, and every muscle in me tenses. I breathe heavily, but I cannot move. I try to say, "What a dream," to myself just to calm down, but my lips don't move. I'm completely immobile. Sleep paralysis. I look around the room, taking in the details of the white walls, the plug sockets coated in dust, the door which has several marks on the bottom. I even glance at the picture of a hand over a birdcage on the wall. I bought that a few weeks ago. I don't know why. I can see every detail of the bedroom, as much as I don't want to. I always do after a sleep like the one I just had. How long will it go on like this? I don't know. How long will I continue to have nights like this? I don't know that either. All I can do is live and not let fear overtake me. Even with the worst nightmares, I can't stay afraid. I must get rid of it. I must be brave, and I must make these night terrors go away. But when I look at the end of my bed, I feel myself freeze. A shadow lurks. Its hair is like something from the sea. Its eyes are like golf balls with dots painted on them. Its grin shows scattered teeth. I smell my mother's breath. I just lie there, thinking this. Mother won't leave me. She can't hurt me. But it's worse than that. Much, much worse.